Luke Perry, ultimate heartthrob. He was just gorgeous. That James Dean hair, that jawline, those big brown eyes.
Step on that rope. Yeah, very good. Now, second thing, keep your arm real high and always reach out for the front there.
Dipping them into these chemicals and taking them out and dipping them in, and I did that for about a week, and factory work is not for me.
Black cap, golden cheeks, and a distinctive stripe through the eye.
What does the female look like?
She just dropped
Oh my gosh.
by the thing, and it was...
Luke Perry's sudden death was definitely one of the most tragic incidents that ever struck the doors of Hollywood. But does anybody really know the true story behind his death? Don't worry, we are here to uncover the nitty-gritty details surrounding Luke's death and the circumstances that led to it. More so, his death gave rise to a whole new set of speculations and rumors that are still unanswered. So let's dive right into this enigma called Luke Perry's tragic demise, shall we? We all know what Luke Perry has done for the Hollywood industry. He did not get instant recognition from the media industry, but what he has earned for himself needs to be commended. None of us can forget the young heartthrob Dylan McKay from the series Beverly Hills.
It's because we both have a pretty good idea of what we don't want. And in my book, that's just as important as knowing what you do.
And Luke had only good things to say about his role even after he left Beverly Hills and refused to continue in the spin-off. He claimed full credit for shaping Dylan's character and said, "I'm going to be linked with him until I die, but that's actually just fine. I created Dylan McKay. He's mine." Fans were enraged at the sudden switch of cast, but it was everything Luke ever wanted. He admitted to feeling suffocated being known for a singular character. He wished to expand his horizons. When asked if he ever regretted discontinuing his work in Beverly Hills, he seemed rather relieved and happy with his choice. He did not want to keep doing something he did not feel connected to. Acting was his passion, and he never wanted it to turn into a boring job he had to do for money.
I mean, I was really clear on why I quit the show the first time. I was just sick of all that. It didn't really pertain to anything that was interesting to me, you know?
Even though Dylan's character stuck by for as long as Luke lived on, that was not the only worth acknowledging role Luke had gotten. In fact, he kept extending his acting career with other brilliant roles like Fred Andrews from Riverdale. He also tried his luck with voiceover and became a successful artist when his character Rick from The Incredible Hulk gained immense success. It would be an understatement to say that the audience loved him in every character.
I'm gonna marry Luke Perry.
His tremendous work ethics and incredible contribution in the TV and film industry are a few of the prime reasons his sudden death hit hard. On February 27, 2019, news broke that Perry was hospitalized due to what appeared as an ischemic cerebrovascular accident. He was initially responsive, but his condition quickly deteriorated until he slipped into a coma that he never woke up from. He was put on life support, but he wasn't responding to any kind of medical treatment. Before anyone could make sense, an even worse news came. After a succeeding stroke, his family took the hard decision of putting him off life support, and he expired on March 4, 2019 in Los Angeles at a ripe age of 52. ABC News reported his death saying,
Perry was surrounded by family at the hospital where he died 5 days later. He was 52, relatively young to suffer a fatal stroke.
He is buried on his farm in Tennessee. His sudden demise welcomed a lot of speculations. People refused to believe that somebody they adored and loved could pass away without as much a glitch in the health profile previously.
People who are fearful because they were his age are asking the same question. How could this possibly happen?
But that's not true. Luke had previously undergone a health scare that shaped his future years. One of his very close friend's wife passed away due to colon cancer, which invoked fear in him, a fear for his own life. So as a precaution, he had a colonoscopy in 2015. Unfortunately for him, the test results revealed that his worst fears had come alive. He had precancerous growths in his colon. In simple words, he was prone to developing colon cancer in the near future.
And they found precancerous polyps, and had I waited until I was 50, very good chance I would have had full-blown cancer.
He obviously got them surgically excised. Ever since his colonoscopy, he had been an active advocate of colon cancer support programs.
It is also one of the most lethal. People just aren't getting the test. They aren't getting the information, and a lot of people are dying because of it.
Not just that, he brought a lot of changes in his lifestyle and diet too. "I have significantly cut down the amount of red meat that I eat," Perry revealed. "I used to be like a steak and potatoes every night kind of guy. Now it's just for special occasions." But other than that, his medical history was almost completely insignificant apart from occasional back pain complaints. But that could be ruled off as the strenuous exercise routines that his field of work demanded. One would think living a simple life could save you from the rumor mill. Not Luke, though. Despite living a rather clean life without health troubles, he could not put a stop to unwelcome speculations about the cause of his death. One such speculation associated him with addiction. Wendy Williams passed a statement in her TV show that gave rise to this notion about Luke. She related herself to Luke Perry's situation, saying she wondered if Luke was struggling with substance use issues the same way she had. Now Wendy was smart enough to switch the topic immediately afterward. She continued on about her own struggles with addiction, but she had done the damage with that one mention alone. She had sparked the speckle of doubt knowingly or unknowingly. Fortunately for Luke, there is no concrete proof till date proving those rumors, so the issue was put to rest. To say that the whole world, including his family and fellow celebrities from the industry, as well as his thousands upon thousands of fans and followers were heartbroken, would be an understatement. Nobody was ready to cope with this big of a loss. At the time of his death, Luke was engaged to Wendy Madison, who was absolutely heartbroken, considering they were both set to marry in the upcoming year. In fact, much of his last year was spent preparing for a grand wedding to the love of his life. It was unknown how long they had been engaged for, since Luke was very private about his love life. But Wendy was shaken to the core and expressed her sorrow and grief, saying, "The past 11 and a half years with Luke were the happiest years of my life, and I am grateful to have had that time with him," she added. "I also want to thank his children, family, and friends for their love and support. We have found comfort in one another and in the knowledge that our lives were touched by an extraordinary man. He will be dearly missed." Luke had 2 children from his ex-wife, Rachel, Sophie Perry and Jack. Surprisingly, his daughter Sophie got targeted for showing unbothered behavior and insensitivity during these hard times. Only when the trolls got the best of her did she decide to clap back at her dad's well-wishers. She took to Instagram to point out that she was just as badly shaken as anyone else with this news. And people should learn the fact that everybody grieves differently. "And I am torn the F up over it," she added. "But I'm not going to sit in my room and cry day in and day out until the internet has deemed it appropriate for me to do otherwise. And if you knew my dad, you would know he wouldn't want me to, so you shouldn't either. So to those of you shaming me for my language and my wardrobe, and most disgustingly, my grieving process, do us both the favor and just unfollow. It's a waste of both of your time." On the other hand, Jack did not have to face the brutal trolls because he was considerably smarter with handling his social media and posted a heartbroken message immediately after his father's death. He also had only good things to say about his father. "I've learned so much from you, and my heart is broken thinking about everything you won't be here for," he wrote on Instagram. "I'll miss you every day that I walk this earth. I'll do whatever I can to carry on your legacy and make you proud."
The thing that I'm most proud of about my dad always is that he was a really good guy. The outreach and support, I think it kind of shows that. He was loved by everybody, and it's nice to see that from everybody.
His fellow celebrity friends also grieved the loss. Since his death was so sudden and unexpected, his ongoing Riverdale character had to be K-off in the show too. But the TV industry did not delay in giving him his due tribute. The season 4 premiere of Riverdale was dedicated to Luke and his wonderful contribution to the show. The premiere also featured Shannon Doherty, his co-star.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
Even 90210 paid him a hefty tribute in one of the promos.
Welcome to paradise, man. Welcome to your dream come true.
Till date, various celebrities remember Luke for the wonderful person he was. Very recently, his very dear friend and co-star from 90210, Brian Austin Green, opened up about Luke's death. For obvious reasons, he explained he was in a shock at hearing the bad news because, according to Green, if there was anyone who deserved to live a long, healthy life, it was Luke. Green further added, "To me, he was the one that was going to outlive all of us," Green continued. "When he passed, I was incredibly sad, incredibly shocked. He was a brother for me. Literally, I had known him before we started doing 90210. Green was also quick to point out his disappointment. Turns out at the time of the incident, he himself was undergoing some neurological complications because of which he was hospitalized. But Green, being an optimistic person, was in denial at hearing his friend's critical condition for the longest time. The reason being that he thought Luke would pull through like he did. Green said, He passed away from complications from brain swelling and things that happened because of the physical stroke itself. There was absolutely a part of me that was really upset and disappointed, of course, that it was as serious as it was. Because people have strokes all the time. People don't die from strokes all the time. And he was 52 years old at that point. But despite being heartbroken over his best pal's death, Green thought his expiry was the best thing that happened to Luke after that stroke. Green was blatantly voicing out this notion, which is why he also became a prey to the trolls. The internet blazed with accusations hurling at Green left and right when he said that had Luke lived on, that would have been a worse fate. But he later explained what he meant. He was of the view that Luke was an all-or-nothing guy, and the tedious recovery process after the fatal double stroke would have made him lose his mind. It was better that Luke went peacefully, considering the alternative was a lifelong struggle in order to match his spirit and potential before any of these medical complications. Green said, "Luke took pride in who he was. He was very quick-witted. He was very kind. He was very generous. And to not have any of those things missing at all would have so severely affected him. I think recovery will possibly take 4 years, or near there. It would have been really, really difficult for him. To me, he either had to be 100% or not. There was no middle ground," Green added. His Riverdale co-star and on-screen son KJ Apa shared his experience working with him, saying they shared an exceptionally close relationship. Luke sometimes acted like his father in real life in the sense that he would call and check up on Apa's parents and keep them updated about Apa's health, etc. Apa expressed his desire to be like Luke in his life, which he admitted was near impossible because Luke was perfect, almost to the point of being unreal.
It's not every day you come across a guy like Luke. Like, Luke is the kind of person who did everything he can to make whoever you are, no matter how big or small you are, feel comfortable.
Pondering upon his personal life reveals that he was a man of values in every sense of the word. His whole life is a representation of how one should make the best of the opportunities life presents with. Luke was a self-sufficient and independent man. His mother divorced his father on the grounds of domestic say. He might have belonged to a badly broken family, but he refused to let that deter him. In fact, he regretted not being able to protect his mother better. According to him, "He treated my mother very poorly. Had I been big enough at the time, I would have beat his ass. But I wasn't, so I always felt that I should have been able to protect her better. But I was a 6-year-old kid. Such a traumatic childhood could not stop him from making his way up the ladder. Instead, building a better life for him and his mother seemed to be his primary motivation, which is where his quench for Hollywood sprang from. He admits to his mother's strength and willpower to fight back being something he looked up to growing up. So much so that his mother remained his inspiration for as long as he lived. He said, "Mom's tough. She's a fighter. Her life ain't been easy, but she don't walk around with her heart on her sleeve. She stuck it out. She never bailed." His love life was surprisingly kept very private. It was like he knew exactly what he needed the world to know and did not overshare at all. For the longest time, his fans were curious about his girlfriends, but he refused to break his silence over that matter. In fact, he was rarely seen with females, even though his female co-stars had very good reviews about him. This could only mean two things. Either he was a or he was gay. This is where a whole nother Pandora of speculations entered the chat. People thought he preferred males. The fact that Luke seemed too in touch with his feminine side did not help this case either, but he was aware of what message the world was getting. He once said, "There are a lot of times that people will misconceive me as being gay when they first meet me," but he was quick to clear out all misconceptions regarding his orientation. He clarified that he was a private person, and yet he had no problem attracting the female population, and he had a profound understanding of how emotional quotient worked in the opposite gender. In fact, this was one of the things that allowed him an upper hand with the ladies. Luke claimed that everyone has latent homosexual tendencies. I believe they are not so deep with women. Women by nature are more affectionate. They are more physical. They are more motherly. I'm kind of like that too. They can talk to me about a lot of different things. I think that that is one of the things that they find appealing about me. With that, he also cleared all misunderstandings regarding him being homosexual. He blatantly stated that he was indeed straight as a steel rod, but it would be wrong of him to claim that he was out of touch with his other side. Luke also voiced out his opinion regarding the gay couples and said denying that some sort of homo-s inclination exists out there would be stupid of him. According to him, "I've been singularly heterosexual my whole life. So big deal. Most people have. But to not recognize that there is some homosexual element out there is ridiculous. He also shared an endearing bond with his kids. Intact, a lot of his friends claim that none of their conversations involved him talking about his kids. He was his son's biggest fan, too.
This was a good man. No, I've never had a conversation with him without talking about his kids.
Now he might be a charmer with the ladies and a complete family man, but that did not help him at all in his professional life. In fact, not being from the industry meant it wasn't all that easy for him. He was practically a nobody with zero links and connections. Luke was aware that he had to work twice as hard to make a name for himself. What very few people know about this talented guy is that it took him years before he finally got his dream role. Before that, he was just a commoner working odd jobs and praying for an opportunity. But it came as a sudden realization that he was meant for the media industry. Luke said, "I felt like I belonged on a screen. I don't know why. I guess because I related to the people up on that screen much more than the people around me."
I feel like I've had a lot of great opportunities, and this is what I always wanted to do.
So after some 200 plus failed auditions, he finally got the chance. He had to move from LA to New York and back again in search of work. But one thing to notice here is that he was not after the limelight. Fame and popularity never appealed to him and weren't the reasons he joined showbiz in the first place.
You were not interested in being famous. It didn't appeal to you.
I didn't have a chance to think about whether it appealed to me or not.
Today, if we look back at his career, it won't be wrong to count Luke's time in the Hollywood industry as a marvelous journey that only got better with time. Fogel, one of his earliest associates, commended his resilience in these words. "The one thing that has always been true about Luke, ever since I first met him, when he was around 20 years old, is that he's always wanted to get better and better." Even Robert Downey could not resist and called him the guy that everyone is talking about. All the directors, all the producers, all the girls. His death might be hazed with a whole lot of suspicion and controversies, but the best one was definitely the Oscar issue. Due to a strange turn of events, Luke Perry was completely disregarded in the Oscar nominations in 2020, alongside a number of other significant actors like Cameron Boyce and Tim Conway. While Oscar nomination-related issues are a usual occurrence, the Internal was extremely enraged because of his recent passing. The fact that the Emmys Awards of that same year had a whole section dedicated to Luke Perry, it made no sense why he was left out of the Oscars. There were divided views. Some social media users thought this blatant disregard for his contributions to the TV and film industry was inexcusable, like this Twitter user who said, "Excluding Luke Perry from the Oscars in memoriam was disrespectful. He appeared in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which was nominated for Best Picture. Quentin Tarantino personally selected Luke to be in his movie, so why not mention him?" Another one added, "In Tarantino movies, every part is considered a part. Bruce Dern was on screen for a few minutes along with many other actors. While known for his TV work, Perry has appeared in films including a Best Picture nominated film this year." People were also angry that celebrities like Kobe Bryant got their share of recognition when they weren't even actors. Half the internet was furious at this strange politics that apparently did not allow the deserving candidates any place in the internationally recognized platforms. On the contrary, there were social media users who found this whole fiasco an over-dramatic flare-up. Some people thought that his career wasn't significant enough for as drastic of an inclusion as in an Oscar. Another Twitter user responded with key facts as to why Luke was not credible enough for Oscar nominations. Because A. Perry was considered to be a television, not a big screen actor. And B, while he did appear in UAT in Hollywood, it was a bit part that probably would have never been mentioned unless Perry passed away. This internet war called for a response from the authorities, in this case the Academy. Surprisingly enough, the official statement came where the Academy clearly enunciated that Luke Perry wasn't unfairly or intentionally left out. The only reason it was done was because of the oversaturation, and he was a part of the 2020 Memoriam Gallery, so all that social media reaction is baseless. The statement was, "The Academy receives hundreds of requests to include loved ones and industry colleagues in the Oscars in Memoriam segment. An executive committee representing every branch considers the list and makes selections for the telecast based on limited available time. All the submissions are included on Oscar.com and will remain on the site throughout the year. Luke Perry and Cameron Boyce are remembered in the Oscar.com gallery. Even though that still wasn't enough to satiate people's anger, the internet frenzy died down after a few days since there was no outcome of this debate. And what remained behind was the amazing legacy Luke Perry left. His close to perfect personal and professional life that he built from scratch and left for the world to see. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.